your reaction. Big damage here.
It's Henri Richard's first season in Daytona prototype competition, and he had been improving with each and every outing. This will be somewhat discouraging to the Frenchman. Meanwhile, the 41 soldiers on.
Yeah, hit pit lane, so they would have probably changed that left front tire at least, but did it get any further suspension damage? Chris?
Well, Brian Frizzell is just devastated down here. Brian, you had such a great run. The team trying to fix the car now, but obviously your high hopes. This is really going to hurt the day.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, it's tough. Henri's got so little time in a little prototype experience, so I mean, it's understandable, but it's a big disappointment for the whole Doran Racing Office Depot team. I mean, they gave us a great car. I can't say enough about this team. I mean, the car was awesome. I mean, it's just, what can I say?
One of the quickest cars all weekend, but they're going to try and get it back behind the wall and see if they can repair the damage. Brian?
Well, down here at the 41 Team Dempsey, James Gouet, I know you were watching the speed broadcast as well. Anytime you're out there with prototypes and GT cars, you got to play fair with each other, and it looks like perhaps that time Dane got the worst of it.
Yeah, it didn't work out well for us that time. We had a little bit, we waited for the wave by, and that got us, track position, but it put us out right in front of the entire DP field. So obviously that many cars together was really unfortunate. It looked like he was clear of everything, and there's plenty of space there, but a little bit of a misjudgment there. But we got a very strong car. Dane's done an awesome job. All the Dempsey guys have given us a good car, running strong in third there. So I'm sure we can get back to we didn't lose a lap, so we'll get back to the front.
Dempsey Racing not giving up. It was just a left front tire that was placed on the 41 for the 40 car. Talk to the team. They think perhaps indeed, just like Dorsey said, they lost an oil line, but that car is back in the garage. Don't expect to see it back out on the racetrack today, and that's disappointing. Remember, 1 year ago, it's the first podium finish for Dempsey Racing right here at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Talk a little racing protocol right here. You'll hear the drivers in the drivers meeting be told, if you're in a GT car, hold your line. Let the DP car get under you, go around you, because it has downforce. Well, watch again what happens as they come onto the banking right now, riding with Henri Richard. You look up ahead, the Mazda, the 41 car, he's picked the high lane now. He's not moving. Richard's going to go down. Should have left a little bit more room here, but right there they make contact. That cuts the right rear right down. Car goes into a spin.
And there is the reaction from Brian Frizzell after he had worked so hard to get that car up into third. It's one of those racing incidents, but one of those very frustrating ones. Thankfully, Henri is okay, but the car is not. Under caution, we'll go racing when we come back. A show not to miss on Speed. There's one of the new ones this year, Car Warriors. It's Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and it's pretty interesting. Sparks fly, they get hot tempers. There's a lot of hot shot challenges as well, and the All-Stars build. Guess what they built this week, Dors?
What's that mean?
A tricked out El Camino.
Oh, you look good in that. Big block with a big old 454 in there.
I think I could see Calvin
502.
Anyway, back to business. Let's get serious. It's time to go racing again. And at the last restart, we saw a terrific passage of racing until that crash. Let's see what this stanza has for us. Ricky Taylor leads the way over Mark Blundell, Memo Rojas, and then Alex Gurney looks for an inside option there. Couldn't quite get there.
Again, it looks like the Red Dragon, the 99, seems to come alive early on cold tyres, or relatively cold tyres here. So let's see if he can make the move and get around Rojas, who's starting to put the pressure on Mark Blundell.
And these guys have history of bad blood, at least the two team owners and cars and drivers for that matter. So
how about Alex Popov in that too? The BMW-powered Riley for Starworks. It's the second car. The higher car or preferred car is actually behind with the 8 of Ryan Dial. Just got by David Donahue.
And he's made some big moves down in this braking zone already today. Rojas looks to the inside. Was he looking at... and the 99 in the 2. Touch there.
Popov trying to get an edge there. A little smoke out of the back of the 99, maybe.
See, the rear fence is broken on the number 2 car behind the right rear wheel.
I got nailed up the back pretty hard.
That's the voice of Alex Gurney talking about the incident with the 2.
Alex, we saw it on TV. The car looks like it's totally intact.
And that's the calming voice of team owner Bob Stallings. Here's what happened. Keep an eye on the number 2 and the red 99.
I did the same thing. He tries to move up the outside as the two were battling each other, 01 and 59, or 99 rather.
The 2-car could suddenly not see the apex. He's blocked by those cars in front of, looking to turn in, and the 99 car wasn't clear. I don't think it was intentional. He just misjudged, trying to get into that corner. Oh, look at Blundell starting to get loose there.
Oh boy, look at it, 3 wide now.
This shows you the skill set of Mark Blundell. The former F1 driver does not race full-time anymore. He did great at the Rolex 24, and then Rojas just drives him off the track.
Yeah, he just didn't have the right to clear him right then. He had to keep it tight a little bit longer and just rams the side of Mark Blundell.
I said it before, let me say it again. Watch the banking this lap.
The two Shanks cars together.
Not going to let the 6
The 9's getting a run up the inside. Watch this. Oh, that's close.
I have to say, boys, Grand Am racing is back. Last year was a bit subdued. We were a bit disappointed on occasions. It's back. This is what we've come to love about Grand Am.
This is hairy stuff. Look at the 9 car and a great run around the outside. Terry Borchella.
Good run around the outside.
Action Express team won here a couple of years ago. But they were really in the doldrums last year after that win at the 24-hour race. Really lost their way. They've regrouped. They've got Ian Watt overseeing the engineering of that team. And they're going to be strong this year.
And finally, Dial gets by Popov. So the 8 sits there in 4th place. It's still Ricky Taylor. He's got a 3.6-second lead over Rojas and then Gurney. Now Dial, then Popov. Dial in the 8. He's looking for an inside option on Alex Gurney. Not available that time. Now a lap ago at this very corner. Talk us through, Dorse. Watch the 23 and the 01.
Well, everybody's going into the brake zone down here, and watch what happens. This is a little bit on the rude side, I would call it. As they turn into the corner, right across the front end comes Mello, and he just absolutely takes Blundell off the road.
That's not smart because, you know, you're trying to win a championship here and win this race, and you can't afford to be hitting cars that hard. Lamo behind the wheel. What do you hear down in pit lane, Brian? I'm sure the Shank boys aren't happy.
Indeed, Mike Shank not happy at all. I know, Mike, you were just watching it on the screen. Blundell having a good run. Car looks like it's going away a little bit, but then you saw the impact there with the 01. What was your take on it?
Shame on them. I mean, they got one coming. I already told Valiente, go get him. You know, they did this to us last year. To Brian Frisell, took us up on lap 1. They damn near did it again where they're gone.
Homestead, it's a short track, kind of like Bristol, guys. I think we're about to see a little retribution.
Rub your hands together. This is it. This is Grand Am at its best.
The 01's got a target painted on it, boys.
Do you remember what happened last year? Turn 1, lap 1. And it involved Brian Frisell, who's had some bad luck today as well. Keep an eye on the 01 and the 6. Check this out.
Right there, just dived for the inside and just didn't clear Frisell. Frisell was there, he had nowhere to go. He just takes him out. Subsequently, Frisell had a puncher, took them out of the running that day.
You know what? I love it when the team owner tells you go for him. That gets me excited.
That's your kind of racing?
Yeah, don't tell me that twice.
Billy Orblin in the Turner Motorsport, the new M3 for 2011, leads the class in GT. Billy came storming out of the blocks earlier this weekend in the opening practice session, set down the fastest time that had everybody gobsmacked and said, wow, this car is one to deal with in 2011. Robin Liddell is second, Gidley is third for the Salins Mazda, and then fourth is Sylvain Tremblay over Jeff Siegel.
Did you say gobsmacked?
Yeah.
What is that?
Shocked.
Oh, okay.
Like, wow.
I'll have to write that one down.
Just trying to help your vocabulary, Dawes.
I don't know if that's a real word or not, though.
And Swift is.
All right, you got a point.
There is the Stevenson Camaro of Robin Liddell trying to reel Bill Orblin in. There's about a 2-second margin. There's the man, Michael Valiente, who has been armed with the task of go get the 01. Here are the important stats and figures, the Rolex race summary after the early stage. We've had 2 lead changes, 2 caution periods for a total of 7, and we've already seen 3 cars drop from this event. Plenty has happened so far, and we're only 37 laps into this race. It's a time 2 3/4 hour event. And let's bring you up to speed with our race recap. John Fogarty in the Gainsco Red Dragon starts from the pole. Paul Edwards looked good early, so too did Memo Rojas, getting the advantage on Ricky Taylor. And then here comes the 01.
Yeah, power move here, got the power down early off that infield. And and then just takes the lead away from the 99 Red Dragon. Frizzell looking really strong as well in the 77 machine right behind them.
There was a spin. Patrick Dempsey through NASCAR 3 and 4. He was able to get away with it, but we understand an oil line came loose, Dorse, which caused this.
Yeah, it caused a spin first, and then you saw it coming up to the stop with the smoke. That car's been back in the garage being worked on. Oh, now that was a big hit on the tire. Watch, flat tire right here. Henri Richard, big side wall impact. Takes the 77 to the garage.
Into the safer barrier. He collided with Dane Cameron, and then this is just a few moments ago. Penalty handed down to Memo Rojas for contact with Mark Lundell driving the 23 off the track. There was radio communication from team manager Tim Keane. He said, Memo, this will help us win the race. This will play into our hands.
Well, I think he's just trying to keep him on the boil here. There's no way this is an advantage for this team, but they've certainly got a strong car. They haven't gone down a lap, so they just got to get their head down, focus, and get this car back towards the leaders.
But he says it in a way that you really believe it, you know. If I was in the car, I'd be calm now. I'd be, oh, cool, good, you know.
Dorse, Cal, you hear some people refer to that as cheerleading from the engineer or the team manager. Did that help you guys? Did you enjoy that?
Absolutely. I mean, no question about it. Keep your attitude right, and certainly what Tim Keane said there, that's going to, you don't have time to be driving the race and doing all the analysis, but for your guy to say to you, that's going to help us win the race, that makes it all the better.
Speaking of Timmy Keane, let's hear from him. Brian's there.
Tim Keane on the box right now. Tim, I heard you talking to Memo on the radio out there telling him to be calm and it was all going to be okay, but when you watch it, the car you had the contact with is not in the championship hunt. Does that make you a little concerned? They don't have anything to lose when they get back on track.
Yeah, it was totally his fault. I mean, he could have avoided that, and, you know, it's just the heat of the moment. He's out there racing, so, you know, it's our fault. We'll take it, but, you know, it could all play into our hands. This has kind of worked out for us before, so we're not giving up.
I know you've kept Memo cool inside the cockpit. Anything that you think could help keep Mike Shank cool before he loads Michael Valiente into that 23 and sends it back out on track?
Well, they'll do whatever they have to do. You know, I'm sure they're upset. I don't blame them. But hopefully they can race. We'll race hard, but, you know, we don't want that stuff to happen. But we got our penalty.
There, you heard it, guys. They think they've gotten their penalty. I talked to Mike Shank. He doesn't think it's settled yet.
Well, someone who knows all about driving that 01 and being coached on the radio from Tim Keane is the new Rolex 24 winner, one of 4 successful drivers this year at Daytona International Speedway. Joey Hand joins us in the Speed announce booth. Joey, thanks for your time, and first of all, congratulations on getting that wristwatch.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Diff. It feels good on the wrist, that's for sure. And Tim Keane, he's a good cheerleader. He got me all pumped up there at the end of the Rolex also.
We know you so well from your earlier days in open wheel Formula. The career path didn't quite go to plan to Indy cars and maybe even Formula One one day, but you sure are making a very nice career out of sports car racing. Continental Tire sports car racing, Rolex GT. You did a little bit of Daytona prototype racing for Alex Job in the Ruby Tuesday car, but what was it like being part of that Ganassi organization and going to victory lane at Daytona?
Well, you know, I've worked, people have heard the story a lot. I've worked on trying to get in with Ganassi or one of those guys for a long time. When I was a kid, 15, 16 years old, I would go and shake his hand. Mike Hall, I mean, basically bothered him every time I saw him. I was like, hey, I'm Joey Hand. I want to drive for you one day. And so the opportunity to drive for him was, you know, kind of a dream come true. And, you know, the way it played out in the race was also kind of a dream come true. I mean, I was able to, you know, make some headway back in the race and hand over to Scott to get the victory, you know.
Now you look back, I look back over the 25 or so years I've done the 24 Hours of Daytona, and you look at memorable performances. Certainly one that comes to mind is Max Pappas in the Ferrari when he got his name Mad Max running everybody down. Your job after the tire contact, which wasn't your fault, I'll say that up front. There's no way you knew that tire was there.
Thanks,
but by
Dose.
hitting that tire and having to come in the pitch, you put on a drive which in my mind tops and runs right there amongst the top 3 types of drives I've ever seen that 24-hour Daytona. I know there's people still talking about that. You put on a hell of a good job.
Yeah, thanks, Doris. I mean, it was one of those times where, you know, I kind of knew there was a moment there. You know, it was my time. If I could put the laps together and catch up to those leaders, then it would be something to talk about. And, you know, it was a lot of stuff. My GT history and my knowledge of GT drivers that were on the track and prototype guys. I knew cutting through traffic would be really key. And we had a 52.5-second gap. I didn't want that thing to go green till the end and lose that race by 52 seconds. I was like, that can't happen.
But being mad and the adrenaline high helps too.
Yeah, they always, all my guys say, don't make Joey mad. Or on the Turner guys, they always make him mad, get him upset.
If you can channel that energy, it's a good thing. I mean, if you can just focus that in there, I mean, it makes some supermen out of people.
Saw Billy Orble in there leading the GT class. You can have a chance to drive that car again this year at the 6 hours at the Glen. But getting back to the Ganassi organization, we talk about the team and we talk about Timmy Keane, his ability to guide you through that race. What does Scott Pruitt bring to the table? He's been this team leader for so long. Being in that camp and experiencing it firsthand, what was that like?
Well, I've been able to drive, with some great drivers over the years. I had Boris Said when I first came to sports cars, and then Bill Oberlin I've been with for a long time here. And you get to learn from these guys. And my goal is to take a little bit from everybody. I'm not the same as those guys, but everybody does it a little different, And so Scott has got so much knowledge of so many things that I just tried to sit back and, I just came in and did my thing. They told me to drive, I drove. Scott did the setup, but I wanted to see his intensity. Bill Oberlin's one of the most intense guys I've ever seen all around on the racetrack everywhere, and Scott Pruitt's similar. So I just sat back and checked it out. Scott and I hail from Sacramento, California. We have a lot of mutual friends from our karting days. So we have a lot in common, and I fit right in. The whole program, I enjoyed the whole time I was there. Everybody, Tim Keane, Mike Hall, even Chip, everybody was great to me.
Well, we're going to ask Joey Hand to stick around for a little bit longer. We need to squeak away from Homestead Miami Speedway to squeeze in a quick break. Oberlin, Liddell, Gidley. That's your top three in GT. We ride with the race leader, Ricky Taylor. Alex Gurney is second and Ryan Dial is third. This one has got a lot to go. A reminder about the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Darlington next Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Things always get exciting. The lady in black. We'll see who comes out on top. That is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Welcome you back to Homestead Miami Speedway. We say thanks to Adam Alexander in the Speed Center as well, updating us on the situation at Vegas. Do I need to say, boys, have you noticed who's on the front row?
No.
Besides Matt Kenseth?
I knew you'd get that.
Well done, Marcus Ambrose in the number 9 Stanley Ford, making progress with his new team. AJ Allmendinger has had a good run this weekend as well. Meanwhile, we get back to sports cars on speed, and Ricky Taylor, who's been out there for 6 laps longer on this set of tyres, still leads the race by 2.5 seconds, Carl.
Yeah, but he's got starting to wiggle there a little bit coming through the banking. He's got the fastest lap of this race, set on lap 27 at 1:15.6, which is some 2 seconds off of John Fogerty's pole time. So that gives you an indication of how much lap time these cars lose with more laps on the tires. But he's looking pretty smooth here. Remember, the start of last year's race, he was on mild rubber. He did the same thing today. He's got to be feeling pretty good right now because it had been a miserable couple of stints for him up until this point.
Remember earlier on when he, that's what we saw first too, is that wiggle on the banking before those rear tires really started to go away.
One of the incidents of the race was the contact between Momo Rojas and Mark Blundell. Mark is out of the car. Let's hear his side of the story.
Yeah, first of all, Mark, congratulations on a great run at Daytona, and I was going to say welcome back to the Rolex Sports Car Series, but it hadn't been that sweet here at Homestead. Tell us about the incident out on track with the 0-1.
At the beginning of the stint, we settled in, we kept the tyres in check, and we just started creeping up on people, making places, and I think by the pit stop, the team did a great job. We were P2. And then when the tyres have a heat cycle where you slow down for a yellow, then come back in, they don't take to it very well. And I just didn't have the grip, and unfortunately, as much as I tried to defend fairly, the 0-1 car got by. To be perfectly honest, he could have done that move easily. He didn't need to knock me off, totally unnecessary. But that's maybe the way he drives. But overall, I still think the team did a great job. Michael Shanks Racing, Zach Brown, I want to say a big thank you. Jim France for letting me come and play in the playground, and hopefully I'll come back.
certainly looks like you haven't skipped a beat. All the experience from Formula One and the Indy cars that you ran here. How much testing did you have in the Indy car on the road circuit here? Because I know the only time that you were in the Daytona prototype here was that December test.
I never ran on this circuit. We only did the oval, so we've had very limited miles, and I'm still learning the car. Michael Valiente, my teammate's definitely got an edge of me in the slow speed. But you know, I've got a little bit of investment, so I've got to get rid of that investment. I want to give investment away.
Well, Dorsey Schrader considers that road holding weight, and so I think Blundell will certainly be back. And guys, you got to be impressed out of the car that long how fast he's going.
Tell him he wears it well. You know, you get older.
Speaking of wearing it well, there's a good battle going on here. Joey, your thoughts? Ryan Dial is putting the pressure on Alex Gurney here. You've got a Chevy-powered Riley and a Ford-powered Riley. Remember, Peter Barron's Star Works team switching to Ford this year. Dial looks good in third.
I mean, I ran against those cars at Daytona. They definitely go good in the straight line. You know, I mean, it's good to see the red car up there again. You know, those guys have had to struggle, so good on them.
Well, guys, right now the 99 and the 8 car running laps about a second quicker than the 10 car, and I just checked in with Bill Riley. He said when we took a look at the tires that came off the 8 car during that last pit stop, the right tire, the outside shoulder of that tire, there were some blisters. So they told Ryan Dial, you really got to take it easy early on in a stint. We do have an extra set compared to everybody else, but we don't want to have an issue where we potentially have a tire let go. So as that 10 car is getting slower, I think we're seeing the 99 and the 8 start to move forward here. And remember, Bill Riley and Peter Barron, they've got that little extra card in their hand, that extra set of tires, because these guys were very conservative in practice and qualifying.
Yeah, and their car's probably looking the best of the three right now up front, Chris, because Ricky Taylor's definitely backing up a little bit, and Alex Gurney's car is starting to show signs of not getting the traction off the corners. DL deep on the brakes, takes second spot away. He's looking strong. He'll be in the lead here shortly, but look at Negri. He makes a move. Similar to what we saw with Fogarty early on, about midway through a stint. That 99 car just seems to lose the bite, Dorsey, after about 15, 20 laps.
99 and the 10 both have lost their rear tires. There's no question about it. They're both backing up. Ricky, we saw it on the banking. We saw that little twitch on the banking that we saw the first time around. As soon as you see it, it starts falling backward on speed.
The encouragement over the radio to Ryan Dial was the voice of Bill Riley, the man behind the car from Riley Technologies. Now Dial is starting to put the pressure on the race leader, Ricky Taylor. There's another Pro-Am combination in good. Oh, there we go, inside, but there's GT traffic. Dial will push Taylor wide if he can. Ricky will have the inside run. No, he won't. He shuts the door. End of argument.
Ricky's defenseless. He doesn't have any rear grip to fight with, so right there was a good move. A very smart move with Ryan Dial forcing the issue and using that GT car. He wasn't going to get boxed in.
Here comes Oz Negri. It's another Pro-Am combination. He and John Pugh, they also get that extra tire, that extra set of tires. Well, to have a Pro-Am combination. Now he's up to third and pressuring for second.
They would have got the extra set of tires, except for John had to spin and took one of those sets away.
Indeed he did early in the opening practice session.
Look at Valiente here. Remember, Mark Blundell just jumped out of that car, so Valiente has the freshest tires, but he has gone a lap down, so he's trying to fight his way onto that lead lap. And then the 99 car gets the information from the team. Look at Negri making a run on Ricky Taylor. These guys are good friends. They've run karting events together down in Brazil just last off-season. And Ricky Taylor really looks up to this man, but he's not going to make it easy for him.
I don't think he has much he can say about it. When that car starts losing grip, it just... Well, look at that.
Lara down this straightaway. It talks about the low drag setup that it has. Very effective on these high banks, but just doesn't have the grip underneath him right now. Remember, Ricky Taylor has 6 more laps on his tires. There you see the sideways action from the 10. Valiente takes advantage of it.
Starting to carve his way through, trying to get back on the lead lap. It's Ryan Dial, Oz Negri, Ricky Taylor, then the 99 of Alex Gurney, and Alex Popov in the second Star Works car remains in the top 5. He has been the revelation of this race meeting. That is quite the drive. And there is his teammate Potolicchio, ready to take over the number 2. He's going to have to put in an equally impressive drive. Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is brought to you by Continental Tire. Innovative technology, driving confidence. And by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. There's been plenty of adventure here today. Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. Lee Diffie, along with Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Brian Till, Chris Neville, and our special guest, Joey Hand, winner of the recent Rolex 24 at Daytona, aboard the 01 BMW-powered Chip Ganassi Riley. And there's been plenty going on while we're away as well. Ryan Dial leads for Starworks in the Ford-powered Riley machine. But check out this with his teammate, Alex Popov.
Too much speed. He realizes he's going to hit the 99, gets on the brakes and has a harmless spin that could have been a lot worse. Watch this now, riding on board the 10 car. Look how close that was.
Yeah, he couldn't afford to release the brakes because Alex Gurney was still there to keep the brake pressure on with steering input. You're just going to go around. So very impressive run, though. He's learning the ropes, but very strong here today, that's for sure.
We mentioned earlier the man behind the name, Bill Riley, and some encouraging words for his driver, Ryan Dial. Tell us more, Chris.
Well, right now this team is working through a problem, and it's a good problem to have because they have 2 sets of tires. Bill, we've got about an hour and a half left on the clock. How do you look at these next 2 stops? Do you split it evenly?
I don't think we can split it evenly. We're going to have to wait on the yellows. So we're going to have to stop probably with everybody else and then hope for a later yellow with maybe a half hour, 45 minutes to go to put our 4th new set on.
Well, they're in a good position. And I just heard Alex Gurney on the radio tell the team, hey, I just about lost it in the oval. Kyle Brennan came back and said, Alex, you get about 20 more laps on this set, so take it easy.
And that's not good news, and that's the reason why he lost 2 places. Terry Borchella has gone to 3rd, Paul Edwards has gone to 4th, and Gurney has dropped to 5th.
So we talk about when the tires get to that point. You've driven here a bunch of times and you've experienced similar things as what the guys are going through right now. When the tires reach that peak where they're no longer effective, can you do anything about it?
No, and it's painful to hear 20 laps to go when you're almost lost in the oval. No, I mean, here especially, there's a couple places where you can burn the rear tires off coming off the slow speed. And if you don't calm down a little bit on your throttle application, you'll never get them back, and it's just a real downhill spiral. Also crossing, when you come through turn 1, there's a bunch of bumps. You can see it, guys, will start to lock the left front. And once you get one lockup on there, you got to be really, really tidy from there on, because you'll just keep locking it up right to the cords.
You know, once this tires go out, this track is so physically hard to drive. You got to be up on the wheel so much. I mean, you can't. It's like driving in snow. You know, you lose grip at the front, then you lose grip at the back, and
you get really what I call huff and puff.
Yeah,
huffing and puffing.
Good work.
Here comes Rojas. He got around Alex Gurney. I think that's more a question of, or a case of Alex Gurney backing up a little bit. He said he's out of tires essentially and got that awful message that you got about 20 laps to go on this set before we can give you some fresh rubber. So Timmy Keane will be talking to Mamo here, just talking him through the scenario. They've got a couple of sets of tires left too, so it's how do you split that up? You don't want to pull the trigger too early. Typically, if you've got the lead of one of these races, and if we see a caution, pit lane is closed, and you lose that gap. But if you make that call early in this race, get that last set of tires on early, that means you're going to put the most laps on that set. Then if you see a yellow towards the end, the other guys have got fresher tires behind you, so it's a really cat and mouse game here today.
You and I were talking about that, Calvin. I mean, trying to run the race kind of backwards, if you want to call it that way, you know, so that you try to get those good tires on as late in the race as possible. Maybe the last 10 laps would be a perfect time. But can you go that far? You hear right now with Alex with 20 laps to go, and he's already sideways on the banking. He's going to have a long day.
To Chris Neville.
Well, guys, just heard the team talk to Ricky Taylor. It sounds like he got into the wall up on the banking, and he might be coming to pit lane.
Ricky has dropped to 8th place behind Alex Popov, and he is on pit road. Let's show you if this tells us more. It certainly does.
Just a graze. He may have gotten away with it, Dorsey, but the handling's gone away from him. We saw it wiggle about 6-8 laps ago.
Did a really good job of keeping the car squared up when he knew he was going to get into the wall. You know, just got it and made it as minimal damage as possible.
The SunTrust team have had success here at Homestead Miami Speedway, but that was when they had a Riley chassis. They've found it quite challenging to get this Italian-made Dallara to work effectively around this track.
39 laps on the board during that stint, but I think after lap 30, the tires just lost their effectiveness. Brian.
Ricky Taylor handing over to Max Angelelli. A little bit of rub on the right rear bodywork where the contact with the wall perhaps happened. Remember, Ricky Taylor had been in the lead and then steadily dropping back on the radio. He kept saying, I'm just out of tire. Drew trying to keep it patient in the car, and now it's Max Angelelli's turn to, well, be patient. Now, the guys, do you think that's going to happen?
It's going to have to happen because that car goes off pretty bad.
As he gets released, race leader Ryan Dial comes across the finish line and will be right on the back of Max Angelelli again to compound this problem for the 10 SunTrust team. Meanwhile, Mimo Rojas is just clicking off the competitors that he needs to get by. One of the Salins Masters is off in the dirt. Rojas is now up to third. What a comeback.
Yeah, very strong run here. Showed great patience. And you can't afford to abuse those tires in trying to hustle too hard in the traffic. You just got to let them come back to you. And he's done that very effectively. So a great run here by Memo. And I really, again, agree with Mark Blundell here. He could have given him some room. Didn't need to create that incident and the penalty. So we talk about the banking here. I mean, this is vastly different from Daytona where you just got it pegged all the way through here. What is the sensation even on good tires? What's it like going through the banking here with the reduced angle that it has compared to Daytona?
Well, the other thing is it's got staged angles, you know, so you want to, you got to transition across those angles. You start up high, you come down to the bottom. So he's going to enter high. He's going to try and keep it flowing through there, keep it flat. Yeah. I'm sure they're not flattening it right now, but start high, bring it down. He's in the middle stage, almost to the bottom stage, but right there it starts to push, and then it catches a little bit and starts to go loose to the wall right there. And I think it looked like Ricky Taylor got push, and he let it push, and he thought he could get it, and then you get up there to the marbles, and then it just takes off on you. But definitely a lot different than the Daytona easy flat banking.
You may have noticed that we've just crossed the halfway mark in this 2-hour, 45-minute timed race. Time for a Capital One halfway leader acknowledgement, and it goes to Peter Barron's Star Works team and Scottish driver Ryan Dial. He is a Rolex 24 overall winner in his own right. And this car, this team last year when they had BMW power, had 2 podiums, 2 second places, one at Lime Rock and one at the July Daytona International Speedway event. And at the moment, Cal Dial is boasting a 3-second lead.
He's looking very strong. We just saw him get passed there by Bert Frizzell in the 61 car. Great to see AIM Autosport back here for this race. They're now switched to Dynan Power. And big news this week amongst the teams is the fact that they've got a new sponsor coming on board, starting at Barber, Gamma 88, which is a fuel additive, and they're very excited about the prospects with those guys on board in the future.
Well, guys, more radio traffic between Alex Gurney and his engineer, Kyle Brennan. Alex saying, I can't hold on to this thing. It's all over the place. And Kyle went back to Alex and said, hey, if you got to bring it in, bring it in. But the only thing I can give you is old tires from practice. I can't give you our last set yet. Right now, Alex going about 3 seconds a lap slower than the leaders.
One thing he can do, what he's not doing right now, is not run that low line. Get up on there by the wall so you're not pinching the car down so much. Make it turn less.
Did I just say that Dial had a 3-second lead? Make that 1.8. Rojas is charging in second. He's by Negri, and he's after Dial, our race leader. We haven't seen GT in a while. When we come back on the other side of this break, we'll talk about Orbelin, Robin Liddell, Boris Said, Mamo Gidley, and Craig Standard. See you in a minute.